Welcome back to Autism Live. We have a very special interview and we have very special guests in the show, and you're going to see some things that you don't normally see here. We've opened up the doors to the studio. We have a very amazing mom here, somebody who inspires me all the time, and her son is here with us as well, and he's in the studio. He just changed where the camera was pointing, which is all good and fabulous, because you know when you have kids, it's all about them, right? So
Indeed.
I'm going to let you introduce yourself because you are a mom who inspires me greatly.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
So my name is Adriana Garza, and I am a mom to a beautiful autistic epileptic kiddo
And
who
he
is all of
beautiful.
5, who is roaming around here.
He is totally, he's underneath the desk looking at my feet.
Doing new things with the studio.
And my shoes. He's going to be tickling my feet any minute now. But you know what? I think this is a great metaphor for our lives.
It is.
Because, you know, we do things a certain way, but then when our kids are there, it's like, the rules
real.
get changed because they're the fabulous people that they are. So you do inspire me on a regular basis, and you've had a very interesting journey, but I'm going to let you tell what you want to tell because we're here with other people watching. And of course, we're going to be fascinated with him because he's the most precious thing there is.
Let's start with getting that out of your mouth, please, Austin. He's got a string of some sort in his mouth.
Uh-oh.
Hey, buddy, let's take that out. Don't eat that, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome listening.
That was good. Yes.
So I actually just moved back to Los Angeles after being away 7 years because I was living in Texas where I was raised and where I'm from, and I had gone back to Austin. And when we began our journey with my son, I started to realize that in becoming part of a different abled life, because I'm not big on the term disabled.
Yeah.
So I started to realize that there was going to be a lot of obvious extra needs. I'm also not a huge fan of the term special needs because I feel like there's so much extra work that goes into his life.
Yes.
I am a born and raised Texan. I love that state, but it was very difficult to live there with our situation.
Yeah.
Extremely difficult. The therapy that 3 doctors that didn't know each other that all recommended, that they said if he does 40 hours of ABA a week, this kid will recover. They all said it in different forms, but they all said the same thing. And I went to Medicaid and was like, I need ABA.
Yeah.
And I was new
and
to all
like
of it.
40 hours.
Yeah.
You know, since that's what the doctors told me, right?
And they were like, we don't cover ABA. And that's kind of when the journey really began, because it was a matter of what I was able to do at the time through the Health and Human Services Commission was get him on a 2-day-a-week grant.
Right.
Right. 3.5 hours, 2 times a week was a different child.
Yeah.
So I knew at that moment with that grant and the changes that Austin had experienced and that we all had experienced as a family, that those 40 hours were crucial.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but when you started that grant, that grant that, you know, a couple of times a week was just for 6 months. And
Yes,
then
correct.
that was going to come to an end. And then at that time you had to wait 6 months, and then the next 6 months you could apply to do that again.
For
but
just
6
twice a
months
week.
on,
Yeah.
6 months off.
For just twice a week.
Because there's no study that shows that works.
Right.
But let's do it that way,
Right.
right? Because that's what the budget could do.
Right.
So then what happens?
So that, but I have to say that in that situation, because there's always a blessing in every situation, that's how I found out about CARD. Because I remember that 2-page list of people that Austin could potentially go to for ABA in Austin, Texas. And I remember sitting at home just with the newness of everything, calling everyone and finding no grant, and finally hitting CARD. And finding that there was, you know, a way through this while I figured out the rest. So CARD is forever in my heart because it was the only place in Austin at the time, we're talking 3 years ago, 2 years ago, that took it. So you're right. So when the grant does 6 months on, 6 months off, 2 days a week, it's not, the progress is not going to be like what the doctor said because it wasn't the 40 hours.
But you were still seeing progress, enough to make you
Well,
want
I was
more.
doing a lot of follow through too.
Yes.
So that, which is very important in ABA. Yes. So I had to do what any mom would do, any mama bear that is seeing success in their son, and the state's unfortunately not meeting them where they need to be met. So as some of you may know, I started doing fundraisers. I started out with GoFundMe, And then I started, because what needed to happen is I needed to put through his disability, he got Medicaid, but I needed to put a secondary policy in place to cover that ABA therapy, which obviously is a lot of money. So, and as a single mom was, a very tricky road, but I knew that I could figure it out.
And you guys who are watching, I mean, we have a lot of families in Texas that are have this same thing happen, and I always use you as an example of when there's a will, there's a way. It's a lot of work, a lot of stress, but you said we are going to figure this out.
Because of the inspiring differences. I mean, this is a kid who, right now as I'm watching his energy in the space, I am thrilled that that he has the space to be who he is, also the differences. This is a kid who would go home and circle for 2 hours straight before I knew everything. And I was like, not sure what's happening, but he has a lot of energy. He circles and circles. Hi.
Huh? And he's out. I thank you for stopping in for a visit.
The differences were so huge that I was going to figure out a way to make this happen for him. He didn't look you in the eye. He didn't point. He didn't wave. All the questions they ask you at 18 months, is he doing this, this, and this? And you're like, nope, he's not doing this. He started doing that. And so I thought, this is with 2 days a week, and I'm starting to see change. So that's why the GoFundMe came in. Then I reached out to some friends here in Los Angeles and started an auction with some items and was able to cover him for a little over a year.
And to be clear, though, you took that money and purchased
a secondary policy.
With that money
because
that allowed
Medicaid,
you to, because a lot of people get confused on this and think, I got to raise this amount of money to cover the therapy.
$21,500 is what it cost a month.
Okay.
So you've got to raise for the secondary policy.
So what you do is you raise money for the policy. Which is still a chunk of change, but it's not $21,000 a month.
Correct.
And then once you have the policy, sometimes you have to raise money for the co-payment or the deductibles.
Well, that's where I received a lot of great information from you and Card and about the grants. That's where the other grants making me a little nervous.
He's on a
Austin.
He's on a He's
Austin
good, though.
Enrique. Cuidado, por favor.
Oh.
You found something.
Yes.
Siéntate bien. Gracias.
Thank you so much.
That's where I found out about the United Healthcare grant, and all these things are very tricky, but I was awarded the grants. I was able to put towards its co-payments. It's just a lot of jumping through hoops, but hoops that are entirely worth it when you're talking about a kid's development, when you're talking about the journey that we're on, which we're not on the typical. I struggle, Shannon, because I'm not a big fan of all the words, neurotypical,
That's okay.
all the, disabled, all that stuff, but we aren't on that journey. We're on a different journey. And this village of tribe that you need to make things happen is doable. But the reality of why I'm sitting here today is because I did get sick. And I did develop Hashimoto thyroid disease. And I did develop mild tachycardia. And had to take the Attorney General to court. And there was a lot of stuff that happened. And I was able to do it. But the one thing that I think we know is how healthy we need to be there for their journey and everything that it entails. Right now we're experiencing a random bout, almost out of nowhere, extreme rise in elopement. So I have to be ready to run at any moment.
Yeah, and that's stressful.
Very.
But
I mean, my friend sees me ready, it's a...
But here's the other thing is that, multiple studies have shown how stressful that is. But the other thing that we've seen recently out of studies is that the number one stressor is having to fight all the things that you've had to do to be able to gain access for what you are told by experts is what your child needs. Not like somebody who's got some far out idea, multiple experts saying this is what's needed, this is what's required, and then having to fight for it.
Researched here at UCLA. I mean, there's all this evidence that this is what works for kids on the spectrum. But sorry, we don't really, we're not there right now, so we're not going to cover it, and we're going to hope for the best for your kid. And it's like, well, what you're offering as the best is not what my son deserves. So that's ultimately what it came down to. But I didn't want to be sick anymore, and I wanted to be happy and enjoy the journey.
It's totally fine. He can totally pull that right off the wall.
And there goes the studio.
No. It's just foam, you guys. For those of you watching, there's this texture foam on the wall, and he's pulling it off. It's all good.
Texture.
We've had it pulled off before. We can put it back up.
Thank you.
Not a problem. So he's found a new cushion. This is the thing.
This will probably be on the floor
and
with him any
it's
minute.
got like almost like a Velcro thing that sticks it to the wall. So he's
Discovery,
doing a thorough.
too.
The next time I move studios and I need it torn down, I'm calling him.
Call him, please.
Because he did that faster
I'll
than
drop
I
him
can
off
get it down, right? He can help me get the whole studio in shape. You did a good job on that. And now he's having a great time playing with that. So yes.
So I don't want to be sick. I want to be happy, and that is the number one cause, I think, was I've never been this sick. I've never had my thyroid. It's supposed to be a 9. It was a 900. It's starting to come down already. My mild tachycardia got to 124, like my heart rate, just from all the stress of also trying, like the resources that I found were outside the state, like the grants and everything that I had to do was not, just the state itself became very limiting. So for me, it wasn't entirely easy, but I had lived here before, so it wasn't like I was going somewhere I didn't know of. And
we should say, I mean, people always say, do what you have to do. And, I wish that people would start to realize that that should not mean that a family has to move. But in some cases, people do move so that they can gain access to the services and not have to fight as much.
I will tell you the two things that came down to, and there goes the camera.
It's all right. It's all
Two things
good.
that came down to. I could continue where I was, and I knew that I could continue getting him the things that I needed.
Yeah.
But I will be very honest. I was in court more than I've ever been in my life. I had to learn how to represent myself because the Attorney General gave you 30 days to file for a motion for a new trial. I had, on several occasions, picked up the phone and said to my mom, I'm going home. I dropped him off at Card. Can you please call me in a little while? I'm not sure. And this sounds drastic, but this was the reality of our life there. I'm not sure what's going to happen when I lay down to rest. So I need you to check on me in a few hours.
Yeah.
So the choices became, do I continue down that route?
Yeah.
And everybody on his team at Austin Westlake saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
I mean, me just walking in there completely, I have color in my face now, just because I'm in a place now where there's absolute hope and absolute resources, and I don't have to bang on doors and keep grabbing ones that won't open in hopes that I can somehow just yank it open. Now I go and I knock and they're like, hey, it'll be 30 to 60 days, but we've got you.
Yeah.
And I'd rather wait 30 to 60 days and have solutions for his journey.
Are you ready for this?
Oh, did you put it in your mouth?
Are you ready for something to play with?
Did he taste that that pad?
Uh-oh.
Bab's over there watching you. She's going to
Say hello.
Yeah.
Say hello. Hello. Who's there? Who's there? Answer your phone. Who's there on your phone? Hello.
Anybody there?
Anybody there?
He's like, any videos for me?
Is it time yet? Let's see,
Nope.
because we were trying to download something for him before.
Nope.
Did you look and see? Did it show up yet? Is it there yet?
It's not.
Oh. Why did it come to that one? That's not the one I asked for. So he's awesome.
He's doing amazing.
But you're going through that transition period, and this is not the easy time, but you've made this bold choice, and you've come to California to see if you can't get more working.
We're already, the change is already happening. So I'm a big believer in signs. And so in July, after already having been through 1 year of 5 court cases, 4 out of 5, which I won, but still was incredibly stressful to get to that point and represent yourself and go to court pro se and deal with all that. They cut his disability. So I was like, well, if there's ever been a sign, it's now. I cannot take on this fight that deteriorates my health anymore. And so far, everything has been, regional center's been out to the house already. Disability has updated his information, everything. And everything has been hey, 30 to 60 days, and it'll fall into place.
Yeah.
It's a very different feeling than maybe it will happen, maybe it won't.
Right. Right.
So, and again, coming back to a place where I have friends here that are family, because I was here 16 years, and they have opened up their homes and space to him and been incredible with him. So.
And this isn't going to be everybody's potential, right? Because you had a place to come to, but even so,
if you don't,
this is
such a world of
ginormous
difference.
and brave of you to do this. And I wanted to give you some time here to talk about it, because I know that there's families that are watching that are feeling the desperation of, I don't know what to do, I don't have access, I'm
His
not sure
case manager said that when she was talking to me about the change and the things that were going to take into place and how long she said, I had a family move last week to California.
Well, I know that when my son was diagnosed, and I was like, what do we do? Where do we go? Where do we need to be? And it seemed like to me that living in Los Angeles, which
there.
is one of the most expensive places on the face of the
Yep.
earth, I was like, should we move? That was
Right,
one of the first
right.
things out of my mouth.
Right.
And somebody said to me, no, under no circumstances should you move. Do whatever you can to stay here right now, because there are families moving here to gain access to the services that you will, I know.
We are in 550 square feet, but the sacrifice is, there's parks and there's plenty to go do outside,
Yes.
and that outweighs everything we're going to get in exchange. Far
Well,
outweighs the
and we-
limiting space right
And
now.
we have had more time here in California where there were services in place, so that there are also all these other things to go along with
The
services.
regional center only exists in California.
Yeah, well,
It-
so,
Does it
but
work,
it is,
bud?
I know, you're amazing, so you have set things up and have things in motion, but that's no small task.
But
That's no
listen,
small task.
While I appreciate the compliment, and I always say to people, they're like, how do you do it? And I'm like, to meet Austin is to know love, and is to know that he's worth everything that I can do, but it hasn't happened by me doing it by myself. It's happened because of Jessica Smith and Chris Gibson and Larissa and Tracy Monterosa and the wonderful lady sitting across from me who would take my phone calls when I would say, I've hit a dead end. Oh, well, have you tried the United Healthcare grant? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? There was always, this is a tribe.
It is a
This
tribe.
is a tribe. I mean, yes, I appreciate what you're saying, but for me, it's also realistic to say, like, this, I couldn't do this alone. I couldn't.
But I will say this, that, we are here, and I think part of my mission is to make sure that I
working.
give information to families so that they can, at least have the
Succeed.
information, right?
I know.
But everybody isn't capable of taking the advice. Everybody isn't capable of the follow-through, and I know this, there's no judgment, but you are somebody who takes everything and says, I'm going to find a way. So we maybe give you advice, but then you learn from it and you come back, and then I've been able to take that and give that to other people and say, here's what she found out. She went and did this, and here's where that got her, and people are following you. You're making snowshoe prints for people to follow, which is an amazing thing.
Because I'm going to say it again. People were holding my hand along the way and guiding me.
We can't wait to see all, we got to have you back in a couple of months, and hopefully your health is going to be better, and he'll have his full complement of services, and you'll be able to tell your story. You're going to have to write a book.
Well,
You know that, right?
I always say I have to write his story, but I think, yeah, you're getting frustrated. But I think it's maybe, I'll say it here for the first time, maybe it's our story, not just his. Because I keep
Yeah.
saying I'm going to write his, but I think
Well,
ultimately it's
did
our journey.
Did it finally download?
No, something happened, but it's not playing anything. So
Oh, dear. All right.
that's where we're seeing the frustration kick in, and I get it.
Yeah, I would be frustrated
do.
too. But he's been very good while
Listen,
we've
if I was
had
trying to
this
watch.
time. I kind of love this. I would love for us to have an autism-live lounge, like in my dream of dreams,
Yeah.
right? To have a lounge where it's all safe and the cameras are up, mounted high, and moms can sit and their kids can play,
be.
and therapists can be there, and we can see how that all interacts and happens, and talk. Like, that's my long-term dream, because this is. I'm sure when you get together with girlfriends, this is what it looks like, right?
does. Oh, it
Except
does.
not cameras that draw the children over to that.
Well, my lovely friend that's here today has the most amazing backyard, and that's what I meant by when we got here, our friends have given him so much amazing and loving space. He was out there like it was a water park, and she put the sprinkler out there for him, and he ran back and forth.
Amazing.
And Bev and her husband just let him run around everywhere and, be soaked in water and be a kid, and that space.
Which is what everybody needs, right? It's everything.
I look at some of his pictures of the fun, and I was like, hey, if I was rolling around in foam and soaking in water, I'd be stress-free too.
Yeah, well, maybe you should
an
get out there
adult
with
park.
him.
Yeah.
You should get out there
Well,
with
if I
him.
didn't get arrested, I would definitely go
right.
for it. I don't know how well they take my version of it.
Anyway, but I'm so excited for you. I mean, like, I'll be honest, I have fear for you because this is a big change, but I'm excited that you took
everybody has,
the
yeah.
bull by the horns, and that you're doing okay, and you got to reach out to us when you need something.
Hey,
obviously.
I have fear. But I know,
sure.
I know that this was what was going to be in his best interest in the long run, because I was also thinking of what environment I wanted him to grow up in.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if he's going to talk, if he's not going to talk. We don't know anything. And I thought, where also will he be accepted exactly where he's at and met where he's at? And there was no, I've lived here 16 years. There was no other place for me than here.
Well,
So, but don't worry, that fear
is a precious
my mom's
boy.
got that fear. I'm sure Ben has that fear. I have that fear, but we're going to walk through that fear and get to the other side.
Exactly, you know, because that's what it takes, that level of bravery.
You've heard, right? Fear knocked,
Oh, I've not heard that.
faith answered.
Okay.
So
All right, and there we have it.
as
you guys.
tricky as it can be some days, I will keep
So
going.
I had said to them at the beginning of the show that this show is airing on Labor Day, and we don't normally do a show on Labor Day, but I thought how super fun, you know, for us to do this. And so just want to put it out there to people that if you're watching and if there's something that you're afraid of doing that is what your child really needs to do, take a look at it. Everybody cannot do everything, right? But ask yourself what you can do and what support you would need to do it. And we're going to keep monitoring your story and look back at this and see all the progress that he makes when you got a full program going and aren't having to fight tooth and nail to do it.
I will help you, but I'm talking to Shannon right now.
Okay. That's the thing that has to be first and foremost.
Right? He asked.
That's
He
manding.
asked.
Right there, you just saw that.
That is a gift of card right there in action.
There you go.
I cannot thank
He
Card
just
enough. I
requested
cannot.
some help. So we're going to end show here because we've gone a little bit over, but I just want to say thank you.
You and
to
I? Shocking. Talking too much?
No, how could that happen? I just want to thank everybody for being here with us on this holiday. I hope you grab whatever you need for yourself today, even if it's for 5 minutes to, you know, just breathe and center yourself, or to go play in a sprinkler with your kid. And just have whatever that is, because we're getting ready to enter that fall, and it's going to look a little bit different, but it'll be fun too. Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.